beats, the flow, the rhythm. All movement starts from the streets. Streets A&R Podcast. Hey, young Gawd, how you feeling?
Yo, what's good, man?
Pretty good. Man, it's good to be back in the building, man. Welcome to the Streets A&R Podcast, man. It's your host, Giddy Jicky with it.
It's your other host, Johnny No Good.
And we are glad to be back working. Half of the year gone, making it happen, man. And in the spirit of making it happen, which we'll get to our own endeavors much later, in the spirit of making it happen, we got a special guest here today with us who been in Omaha, from Omaha, and has made waves and has recently relocated and is starting to make a wave in this new spot, a place where we need to be real connected to real soon, man.
Yes.
We got a producer, MC, DJ, artist, manager, radio personality, woke nigga number 2. Man, my guy Buddi3 Gawd in the house. Yeah, man, I couldn't say soul brother. Everybody be like soul brother number. I was like, damn, you on number 3?
Man. Hey, peace God, man. Whatever you said, man. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Definitely appreciate you coming through, man. So just starting out, man, and I know I said a few words about who you are, but just let the people know, who is Buddi3 Gawd, man.
Man, overall, man, I'm just a cool dude, man. Just at the basis of it, man, I try to keep grounded in the fact that I'm just a human. You know what I mean? And I have done a lot of cool things in my life, met a lot of cool people, but at the end of the day, we're all just people. You know what I mean? Regardless of where everybody is in a station in life, that can change in a blink of an eye. But you know, keeping at that level, not to get too deep, but that's why I try to start things. So, you know, I'm a human, man, son of Deanna and Mark Elton, man, just born in Omaha, Nebraska, definitely born and raised North Side. I mean, got it tatted on me, you know, for a reason. I was kind of telling my man Johnny off camera, like, you know, Omaha really raised me. And, you know, as I grow up and reflect through life, you know, you kind of see that's a part of me coming back, you know, while I'm here now, you know what I mean, and doing this. I'm always trying to come back to Omaha and just remind myself of where I came from and where I grew up, you know what I mean? So I'll never forget that as I travel.
For sure. When you say like Omaha raised you and there's a real strong tie to this place from people from here,
man,
what are some of the things you have been able to take away from and use in this life that as you journey through this life that you feel that Omaha really embedded in your soul and your spirit?
Man, just the will to survive, man. Will to survive. You know what I mean? Like growing up, like it's funny, you know, I grew up in this area as far as Miller Park, Florence area. You know, seen some things, been through some things, you know, and just will to survive, creativeness, just willingness to explore at a young age. Like I was, you know, one of those kids that was riding my bike all through the city. So, you know, I think that it really kind of hit me now, but that kind of led to my travels of, you know, being in Florida, being in Georgia, being in Miami, and, you know, all the places that I've been, and just my willingness to travel. So that's a big thing. But yeah, really just the willingness to survive, like just growing up in North Omaha and not really feeling like, you know, there is a sense of hopelessness that can seep in. And if you can overcome that and kind of fight that, then there's a certain strength that you find through that. That's kind of what I carry with me. You know what I mean?
For sure, man. My man done damn near doxed my location, dropping the neighborhood.
Oh, my bad.
I ain't tripping.
My bad.
We just in a hidden location. Nah.
Yeah. Honeycomb Hideout on the north side.
But it's funny you brought up travel. So you mentioned Florida, Georgia, and Miami. What was the reason you were there for those stops? Like, and I see the hat, so I know we're one of them. You know.
Yeah. School was definitely one of them. But it kind of started when I first left Omaha when I was like in the 4th grade. I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, And while I was there, my brother went to a HBCU. He went to NCCU, North Carolina Central. So I remember kind of going with him to his visits, going to visit him while he was in the dorms, kind of just getting a glimpse of that life, just even college life, you know what I mean? And then while I was there, my grandpa and uncle lived in Atlanta. So we would drive every Saturday to go down there to go visit them. So Atlanta just kind of became a place that was near and dear in my heart. Like I remember going on those visits, seeing, if you ever been down there, it's a thing called Spaghetti Junction. It's like 7-8 different highways all crossing each other, super tall towers and bridges. It's just crazy if you never seen anything like it. And I remember just looking at it as a kid, you know what I mean? Like, oh man, Coca-Cola factory, just all the cool things that's Atlanta, but just when you're a kid and, you're kind of building those memories, that's where I was. So that connection kind of built. Fast forward, graduating from high school, and long story short, I came down to 2 schools that I could go to. It was either UNL or FAMU, and I was like, man, as far as the price difference, it was only like a couple $1,000s more to go to FAMU. So I'm like, hey, couple thousand, to go out of here and kind of experience some other things, then I'm gonna do that. And at that point, the love for Omaha really wasn't there. It was definitely like, I got to get out of here. You know what I mean? But it wasn't until I left, until I went to those places, that I started to learn where I came from and the impact of it.
Man, that's what's up, man. Shout out to the black colleges.
Man. So yeah. So FAMU, after high school, went to FAMU, Florida A&M University. For anybody wondering, that's in Tallahassee, Florida. That's about 4 hours from Atlanta, about 8 hours from Miami. So, I'm in college. I'm moving around. I'm moving around. So I was doing, throughout college, I was doing record promotions. And, we can get into that whole story. But that eventually took me to all those places.
Yeah. And then I'll just ask real quick, when you breaking into music, so when did you actually start in music? And how even that experience at FAMU and what were you doing there with music? Mm-hmm. And how did that help shape you to what you're doing now?
That goes back to, growing up here in Omaha and, one, just kind of watching TV, just learning, to love music, radio, MTV, BET Jams, Rap City in the Basement, all the shows when like it was really nothing but music videos on TV before all these crazy shows, and now it's nothing but ridiculousness. But like MTV actually had music video. Yeah, right. So that's kind of what I really grew up around. Plus, Ma Dukes like playing music on Saturdays, like just music was always around. So that was something I gravitated to, and then actually played music in bands. Again, growing up in North Omaha, I played in the Florence Day Parade like 5-6 times. You know what I mean? I played saxophone, I played bass drum, but mostly saxophone, and just playing, just kind of having that musical background. I had uncles that played music. My uncle played guitar, had studios in his house. Like it was just always around. You know what I mean? And then eventually I got into it. Shout out to my cousin K2. You might know him, you might not know him. Again, shout out to K2 the illest. That's my big cousin by blood. His brother, or his dad and my dad are exactly a year apart. So we all were real close. Like we were all like the cousins that, again, grew up as brothers, really. You know what I mean? Sleepovers, all that. So real early on, like talking tape deck days, like we was rapping in my grandma's basement and just kind of formulating it. And from there, it went on to me tagging along with him, rapping with, shout out to Ivan and OTR and the cats in South Omaha, and going down to South Omaha at late night, open mics and things like that when I'm in like 5th grade. You know what I mean? Like a young buck, not even really knowing what's going on, but knowing I want to be in the culture. You know what I mean? And seeing K2 at hip hop dance battles and actually seeing somebody actually do the robot, like for real, ticking for real, like blowing my mind, like, man, like just really seeping in the culture. You know what I mean? And that's all through Omaha. That was all through just traveling to hidden spots. I mean, that battle was at the Salvation Army off of Cummings. You know what I mean? Like Sokol Omaha. You know what I mean? Like hitting these spots with K2 early on and just kind of finding that love here in Omaha. That's where it started.
That's what's up. Yeah, K2 definitely a super dope creative,
Man.
especially when it comes to music, drawing, and all kind of things.
Man.
So I could see that the talent running your family. How did you decide to stick your hat? Because you got a lot of different hats you wear. Producer, one that wasn't mentioned is engineer.
Man.
But like, how did you decide which hat to put your talents in?
Some things are out of love, some things are out of necessity. You know what I mean? Like, as far as a producer, that was never something. I definitely started out as an MC. I'm an MC first and foremost. Like, even with, and eventually we'll get into it, but even with my journalism side, like I went to the school of journalism and got into journalism because I'm like, okay, I need to get out of Omaha. At the time, I was going to North, so I was heavy in the engineering. Shout out to Omaha North. Shout out to the Vikings. Shout out to their engineering program. Great program. Don't know which camera I'm in, but shout out to, everything about that. I was on my way to engineering school. I got accepted into college as an engineer. Moms is proud. Son's about to make engineering money. That's not what I want to do. I'm a rapper. So, you can't.
Shout out to
man. So you can't go to college for rapping. So I'm going to go to college for writing. You know what I mean? So I became a journalist. And that's kind of where that came in. But so again, love rap, but necessity journalism. You know what I mean? So
that's super dope. I mean, especially like you a well-studied brother. So I know when you look at a lot of the greats from our history, Malcolm, Martin, W.E.B. Du Bois, all of these brothers had their own newspaper.
Man.
So how did you get into journalism, and what kind of was like the thing that you saw like that you could see yourself doing that?
Man, and it's funny because, again, I got into that just from that thought alone. I like to rap. I'm good in English class, you know what I'm saying, in high school. So, I've gotten A's on a couple of essays. So let me go ahead and go into journalism. I had no idea what journalism was, had no idea what media meant, had no idea what I was getting into. And, I went to college, and as I began to unfold it and learn about it, it's funny the time that things were going as I'm going into, my own, becoming a man, away from home now for the first time on my own. Obama is going, I think, for a second election at that time. Trayvon Martin just got killed. I'm saying Mike Brown at that time. Very, very, I think Kendrick Lamar's, what album was that? Section 80. Section 80 came out that time. Like, I remember Section 80 being like the soundtrack and the vibe as I was, because it's like October. It's Florida, but it's North Florida, so it's cold still. You still get the leaves, you still get the four seasons, so it's the October vibe. Kendrick is it's kind of very dark, you know what I mean? Very revolutionary kind of vibe. And this is what I'm going into, this HBCU, this black world, you know what I mean, as a journalist. So now I'm finding out, okay, there's stories that could be told, you know what I mean? And I'm forming as a storyteller and finding that voice. That's kind of what that period is really finding that voice and fine tuning who I am, you know what I mean, as a person, as you said, as a black man, and I will find even, begin to challenge what that means as I grow, and just figuring all that out. That's kind of what that period was coming out of college or out of high school.
Yeah, man. So
hope I answered the question. Man.
Definitely.
So with your journalism background and you going to school, coming back, and you came back, and while you were back here, I remember you started, or I don't know if you started or it already started, but In-House Records.
Man, that was later on.
Mm-hmm. And with all of your background, I want you to get into what you were able to kind of produce here and the people you were able to work with here. Like, what made you decide to get into not just being an MC, but starting to create a collective for other people to be able to express, and what that meant to you, and what do you feel like it meant to the city to be able to do something like that?
Man, first of all, I appreciate that question, because that's not really something I thought about or have really thought about. You know what I mean? I was just kind of doing it. Again, love and necessity. Like, I love rapping. I love making music. And I got to a point where I was tired of YouTube beats, and I wanted to actually begin to make original music, like to make music from the beginning to the end. I mean, when I came back from college, I linked up with a producer. Shout out to my man Classic, James McMillan. You might know him. Very, very talented drummer. A cat I knew from back in high school. We went to North together. Sorry, I don't know if that's my phone, but we went to North together. And he's a very, very talented dude. And he actually produced pretty much my final major project. Well, not final, but my last major project. Speaker Box Tape Deck. Like, he produced and we did that whole project together in his house. And from there, he went to the military. So I'm kind of like without a producer now, without an engineer, without a studio. So excuse me. So I just started doing for self. Like, okay, now I got to figure out how to really record. And I've always recorded myself. Like, I've always tried to figure out, and always, again, going back to 3rd grade, recording tapes, like actual cassette tapes in my grandma's basement. Like, I've always done that. But that was the beginning of me actually building a studio and beginning to engineer and beginning to now produce. And then fast forward, I met Coro. And then I began to produce for him. Now I have somebody else to produce for. You know what I mean? And it just kind of grew from there. One artist became two. And quite honestly, Coro was doing open mics at the Culture House. If you remember the use a DJ. Right. So the first open mics that he was doing, that was around the time that he and I were kind of growing a relationship. And I'm skipping a lot of stuff, by the way, like in between there, shout out to Marcy Yates. He taught me how to actually sample. So that's kind of where I really got my producing bug at, you know what I mean? Where I really, really kind of, like, I've always done music, but really figured it out as a producer. So shout out to Marcy on that. But through dealing with Marcy and then hooking up with Coro, and then through Coro, I hooked up with Sauce God. And Sauce God brought Zeno Zeus along with him because it was just like a 2-for-1 deal. So shout out to Sauce, shout out to Zeno Zeus. And then Giovanni X, he got involved. They were all kind of just around doing the open mics at the time. And these were just artists that kind of gravitated towards each other. And they all would come to my studio. And they all would just all be coming to my studio. And we all would just be vibing and making music. And this eventually became In-House Records. And the idea was, again, we're all in this house. We're all in my house, you know, and everything is, I'm recording, I'm producing it, everything is in-house, you know what I mean? So we're going to be In-House Records.
And I think it's just the synchronicity of it, even with the naming, just because they were actually in your house. I'm going to say it because Coro said it on the record, Stone Ave.
Man, hey, shout out to Stone Ave. Hey, nobody I know live there anymore, so if you go there, you ain't going to find nothing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Stone Ave.
But yeah, over there, and just literally getting the recruitment of talent was in-house. It was an in-house process. I got my homie. Oh, my homie got homies, they just popping up.
Organic.
So it's very organic, and that's why I love about that. You can tell that synergy was there because it was, and it fit y'all, and it fit the name, bro. And it's funny, I'm switch gears real quick. It's funny because now me learning about your journalism background, and now how you got into like radio.
Yeah.
And
it's a funny story.
Yeah. And how did you get into radio? Because I think you were saying somebody, the cat you working with, you met him and started working with him after the day.
I walked in, like, again, it's out of love and out of necessity. You know what I mean? Like, during college, so my radio career started in college. I started at the Flavor Station at FAMU. I was a radio DJ, and a lot of the people that I worked with, big shout out to them, off in Revolt and ESPN and doing big things. You know what I mean? So I was with a lot of talented people. I say that to say that I was learning a lot at that point. And after college, I came back to Omaha and was like, okay, what's the radio station landscape looking like? Like, I want to continue working there. I applied at 106.9. I forget the name of the managing company, but you know what I'm saying. I applied at those I applied at the big radio stations. No callbacks. They wasn't looking at me like they wasn't taking me serious. You know what I mean? And it's funny because it was the same situation in college. Like, it took me like 2 years to get onto the radio station there. I was literally knocking on the door, expecting somebody to come and answer, not knowing that most of the radio station was automated. So they would set the radio station, and if nobody was live on air, nobody would be there. And if they're live on air, they're live on air. They're not about to come let me in to see what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So I've, after knocking on that door, I finally got in college. Fast forward, I come back to Omaha, applied there, didn't get in. I worked at 95.7. They were kind of forming. This is when 95.7, he wasn't on 24th yet. He was at the Crossroads. If you remember there, he was in it. Man,
that's where I started my DJ lessons over there with Soul. At
wow.
The radio station
Okay.
95.7 over there.
So you know it's real.
Yep.
You know it's real. And I'm talking about barely Ghost Town Crossroads. You know what I'm saying? It's you and whatever that ethnic store that was across the hall.
He changed like 2-3 times.
Yeah.
He got him a nice payout though.
Man. It was like for a couple times, like some German something, but yeah. So you know it's real. So when I first got back, that's where I was working with Mr. Soul, and trying to become do what I can there. Officially, I was assistant program director for all of like 2 weeks, and then I think they closed down. They were in the process of moving, and I was just like, I'm not about to wait on y'all. Like, obviously, the city needs a radio station. I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna do it. Searching who's doing what's going on, getting the lay of the land, finding Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. I'm gonna be honest, it looked like it was closed. It was a sign outside. I think I saw one car. So I pulled up, looked around, opened the door, walked in. There's people in here. There's action. Okay. So I eventually found my way downstairs, walk into Paul's office at that time, introduced myself. And this is the beginning of Mind and Soul. And, and that leads to now 6 years, going on 7 years of engaging the community and, trying to inform and entertain the community however we can.
Man, that's dope. But that's how it works, man. Just knocking on, keep going through the doors, trying to get there till the one that's for you opens up.
Yeah.
And that's love.
Yeah, and it just so happened that the day I walked through the door to meet Paul is the day. I think actually it was that day that they had the ribbon cutting. Like the day before, like they're supposed to start the radio station.
Oh man,
yeah,
right in time.
Yeah, and we built that thing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I got this is a radio station. So we had one in college too, up in Ohio, and my frat brother ended up like managing the station. So I was just like, I'm gonna come through one day. And for some reason they threw a beat on, a Texas beat. I got an infamous freestyle on this radio. I don't know if it's recorded
we got that ready? We got that queued up? No.
I got some other stuff I could have queued up, but man, I gotta find that freestyle. I ain't gonna lie, I was going for like 3 minutes. I was tripping.
Hey, that's dope. That's dope.
To the college radio station.
Yes.
And get your start and just get your feet wet and learn.
Man, I'm glad you mentioned that. Big shout out to the college radio station, because that's where it is. That's where it starts, man. Like I said, a lot of people, your Roxys and like your names, you know what I mean, and your faces who are part of the hip hop culture. A lot of them did get started in that college radio scene, you know what I mean, or just radio in general, you know what I mean. So shout out definitely to the college radio DJs and personalities out there.
And my kind of last question is, like, now you're back out of Omaha, doing your thing down in the ATL. What endeavors are you into now, especially like music related? That like what you working on now? Like, we know what you've done, but what are you doing now down there in the scene and making it happen and making them connections from Omaha to Atlanta?
Man, so it's just kind of funny again, love and necessity. When I got back from college, shout out to K2. He had a show, and this is like when I first got back. He had a show at what used to be the House of Loom. And he was like, you a DJ, man. DJ for me, man. I got a show. Come up and DJ. And little did he know, like, I'm not a, like, I'm not a DJ. Like, I've never touched turntables to this point. Like, I'm not a DJ. I get on the microphone and I talk. I use words. I'm an MC. Microphone and words. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? When I was in college, I had a board and I pressed buttons, you know what I mean, to play the song on the computer, but I'm not a DJ. But today I'm a DJ. So I DJ for my cousin, and that became the next day me going to get a controller and me becoming a DJ. And from there, fast forward, now I'm in Atlanta and I'm a part of the nation's largest DJ coalition. Shout out to the whole DJ coalition family. And Coalition DJs, ATL, where it started. I've learned a lot. So right now I'm DJing. I'm in between gigs. I was DJing for about a year at a place called Sahara's. It was like a hookah lounge. And they sold the building. Real estate is kind of crazy down there. They sold the whole building. They're going to turn it into like a condo or something. Oh
yeah, I'm selling my building too.
Man, hey, I don't blame them. Get the money, get the bag. But at this point, I'm just kind of DJing pop-ups. Like, I've actually taken a break from DJing, and I've been focusing on my podcast that I'm producing alongside a few of the DJs from Coalition DJs called the We Outside Show. So shameless plug, check us out, the We Outside Show on YouTube, on wherever you find podcasts. We've introduced and interviewed, a lot of big names. Like, I don't even want to start name dropping, but check us out. We
a couple.
Jazzy Faye, Lil Scrappy. We hasn't released, but had a real good conversation with Bobby J. That's gonna be coming out pretty soon. We've interviewed some artists that you might not have. We had Simba. That was like one of our early interviews. Man, shout out to Simba. He's doing some big things.
You actually put me on to Simba. I remember talking to you when we recorded the New Year's.
Really?
I'm on your list,
man.
When what is they don't run from rap? I think that was
yeah, man. Shout out to Simba, man. I got on him early, early on like one of his radio freestyles like that that he was putting out. So it was definitely nice to finally meet him. We had KRS-One on there. You know what I mean? Man, yeah, we've had a lot of people on there. Some artists you haven't known about. Money Moo, who's a new artist coming up out of Atlanta. I think Rika. Let me see, Rika the Menace. That's her name. Rika the Menace out of Baltimore. She's an artist coming up. Man, it's just a bunch of people. We've been doing this now going on about a year and a half. So it's going pretty good. So yeah, pretty much that, and then producing. Like, I haven't really gotten back into rapping myself, like making my own projects, but I produce. I've dropped a few tracks with some artists, made it on a few albums and things like that. So that's kind of where I am now. Actually, when I get back to Atlanta, I will be linking up with some DJs and kind of playing some of my music and just getting some feedback and kind of getting back into the sense of me as an artist. That's kind of been a journey in itself. Like, again, finding that voice. Like, I'm a father now. I'm not really doing the things that I used to do when I was rapping. Like, what does that look like now? Just kind of figuring that out. You know what I mean? What does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah, on your Andre 3 Stacks journey, that's what he talked about when he talked with I think it was Rick Rubin. Just he stopped rapping because he's like, that life I was rapping about, I don't live it anymore. Now I got to figure out what I want to talk about. Mm-hmm. I'm not just about to just say anything. So that's why he's had all these experiences of what we think is randomness, but it's just him finding inspiration.
Right.
Like, what do I say now, and how do I deliver it to the people in a way that they'll receive it?
Right.
So,
right.
Right.
And I don't feel like I really touched on it. Going back to your question about me forming in-house, and the importance of doing things for other people. And it is definitely about paying it forward. You know what I mean? And I will say, although it did happen very organically, and it wasn't my intention to come back to Omaha like, yeah, I'm gonna find a bunch of young artists and I'm gonna start this label and we're gonna do X, Y, and Z. And side note, we would have done a lot more had it not been for the pandemic. I'm gonna just say that we didn't know how to pivot through the pandemic. We had shows, the whole tour we had planned. Man, death to the pandemic. But anyway, that wasn't my intention. My intention really was the information that I gained from three or so years of being in the radio, interviewing major artists that are on tour, doing tours myself as a record promoter, going to Miami, going to Jacksonville, going to Atlanta, going to Tampa Bay, seeing how artists move, how a campaign actually runs, seeing the necessity of traveling and getting out of your market and going to markets as an artist to actually market your product. You know what I mean? This is a music business. You know what I mean? And I learned that side of it, and I wanted to come back and spread that information and pay that forward. I mean, that kind of what in-house became. Like, a lot of our conversations was me kind of telling them, like, hey, bro, you need to get you an ASCAP. You need to get you a BMI. Like, you don't know what that is? Like, you need to look into a pro. Like, you need to look into what a distribution is. You need to look into what a 360 is. You need to look into what these things are, if this what you say is what you say you want to do. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where that relationship was, as far as just me kind of trying to put them on game, really. Like, just trying to, whatever they didn't know that I feel like I did know that I could offer them, trying to offer it to them. You know, and again, a lot of these cats had never really recorded like that. Didn't really know what a 16 was. Didn't really know how to count a bar and things like that. Like, real artist development things that I'm really realizing now that I'm in Atlanta, now that I'm privy to conversations of people that are label heads, that are people that are behind the curtain, if you will. Artist development is not a real thing. You know what I mean? And a lot of these artists don't know. And they don't know what they don't know. You know what I mean? And they lost in the sauce. And in the process, people are getting taken advantage of. You know what I mean? So it's incumbent upon me, just as a human being, as a real person. Like, if I know something, I'm going to spread the knowledge. I'm going to try to, you know, share a game as much as I could. So that's kind of what that is and where I am. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir, man. Yeah, we could have a whole seminar on that.
Yeah. I don't know if that was like a bomb what y'all got going, but yeah.
But man, I definitely appreciate you coming through just to give that knowledge to us, and then also just sharing your journey. Right now, where can the people find you at if they want to get a hold of you?
Yeah,
I know you might not be on the socials heavy, but you know, you trying to work. You got production. You got to throw email out there.
It's kind of funny. I don't really post like that, but I'm a ghost. You know what I mean? I'm lurking on pages. That is definitely how I'm connecting. I'm always in the DMs. You know what I mean? So if somebody messages me, I'm gonna get it. You know, somebody tell me to follow him, I'm gonna follow, I'm gonna like your stuff, I'm gonna check you out. You know what I mean? I don't personally post. I kind of need an assistant. I'm gonna be honest. I'm to that level, you know, and that's not a good thing. Like, I'm very busy, and I kind of, you know, stressed out about it sometimes. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? Trying to make it happen.
And that ghost page is
Life as Gawd. LIFESAGAWD on all social media. That's my Twitter. That's my Instagram. I'm not really on TikTok. Not really on Snapchat. Mostly Instagram is how you can reach me as far as the socials. So if you want to link in, you can also like. We really didn't get into it, but First Sky Omaha, definitely check that out. We still going strong with that. That's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7 to 9 Central Time. And then the We Outside Show, 4 words spaced out and just spelled regular, the We Outside Show. You can find that again on YouTube. We drop every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So that'd be like 6 p.m. y'all time. And yeah, man, that's kind of where it's at right now. Definitely look out for new music as always. Like, music, I've come to realize music ain't going nowhere. You know what I mean? It's more about my life journey and what I want to put into the music. I mean, y'all never know. I might come out with a jazz album in a couple years. You know what I mean? Get back on the saxophone.
All right, you play all the instruments. So
I mean, again, yeah, and I'm trying to learn how to play more. I've been actually playing with some blues on the keys. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really, you know, getting into music. I love music. You know what I mean? Rapping is definitely a love of mine and how I got my interest into it. But as a producer, you know, that's definitely a bug or you know, something I want to flex a little more. So yeah,
man, we definitely are looking forward to it, man. We appreciate you coming through today.
Appreciate y'all for having me.
Again, man, Buddi3, man, Life as Gawd, GAWD on all socials, man. We appreciate it, man. We gonna get up out of here, man. We got a lot of shit to get to.
Hey,
man, you know where to find us. Streets A&R. That's Streets ANDR. On all socials, we on everything but Apple, man. But like, subscribe, share, comment, everything, man. Watch us, listen, hit us up in the DMs too.
You name it.
That's me answering, so leave Johnny alone. Man, but we appreciate it, man. We gonna get up out of here. So until next time, man, it's your host, Giddy Jicky with it.
It's your other host, Johnny No Good.
And we out of here, man. Peace.
The beats, the flow, the rhythm. All movement starts from the streets. Streets A&R Podcast.